Hi and welcome along to AFTV News Daily, the first one of the week. Hope you guys had yourself a great day. Broadcasting to you today on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, and of course on Twitch. Big up everybody on Twitch. I know it's our smallest platform, but it's growing, man, slowly but surely. And we've got Lee Gunner with us tonight. How you doing, Lee?
I'm good, Robbie. Thanks for having me on again. Is there anywhere you're not streaming to?
We're not on Sky, we're not on BBC, we're not on we're on everything else. Yeah, we're right across everything, man. So whatever platform you're watching us on, thanks very much for coming on, and thanks very much for everybody's been religiously watching these shows, the one in the morning and this one. It's been going really, really, good. We've been getting a real good following on these shows. So I really appreciate it. What have you been up to, Lee?
I haven't really been up to much, if I'm honest, Robbie.
Yeah, you've been staying alert.
I'm staying alert. I'm singing happy birthday twice every time I go to the toilet. Just into my channel, and that's about it. It's same old since last time. I've actually crossed the road and went like 10 yards across the side of the house. That's the furthest 8 weeks. So yeah, I sat in the garden for a couple of hours on Saturday night, but yeah, it's been mad. It's been absolutely crazy. So yeah, not a lot really.
Well, it does look like now things are starting to, well, when I say starting to ease, we're starting to see the first signs of things easing a bit, even though nobody can really work out what is, exactly what. But there are some things, and of course, in football, more or less today, with what the government came out and said, football is going to be returning. And let me just get to the quotes of that. Was regarding it. It was, of course, Boris Johnson who was speaking in the House of Commons today. One of the things he did talk about was the fact that there'll be no professional sport, even behind closed doors. None of it will be staged in England until at least the 1st of June. All right, so that's the end of this month. No sports, even behind closed doors, will be staged before the 1st of June. However, after that now, if there are no sort of further cases, and things are still, well, when I say further cases, things are still starting to drop and go down, then the government is actively encouraging the season getting started. And, step 2 of their plan is permitting cultural and sporting events to take place behind closed doors for broadcasts while avoiding risk of large-scale social contact. That's what Boris Johnson said. And he also went on to say that being able to hold sporting events behind closed doors could provide a much-needed boost to the national morale. And then also in that document that they published today, they're talking about being able to attract large crowds. They say that may only be possible when significantly later, depending on a reduction in the number of infections. So we're starting to move towards the season getting completed. That if you go off of that, basically what that's saying is, unless things go downhill again, the season will return, sometime after the 1st of June. What do you make of that, Lee?
I've seen so many different people's versions and opinions on this, whether it be other YouTubers, whether it be on social media, whether it be on TV, whether it be pundits. For me, I'm happy that football's going to return. And I've seen a lot of people, and this is just my opinion on it, a lot of football fans, not just Arsenal fans, but a lot of football fans don't want it to return because they want to sit and laugh at Liverpool. Ha ha ha! You were going to win it, and now you haven't won it. Right? It's not gonna change my life whether Liverpool win a title or not. It really ain't. Yeah, it'd be funny to have a laugh at them, but whoopie do. Yeah, they've been the best team in the league this season. If it doesn't finish, but obviously it's looking like if it doesn't finish, then I agree that they shouldn't get a trophy because they haven't completed the season. But when you look at that report, when you look at what you've just read out there, it looks like they're looking to get it back into play. And I think it's the right thing to do. You know, I've seen a lot of people saying that it's not essential that football returns. Well, tell that to all the people that might lose their jobs in a year's time if football still ain't returned and all these football clubs have gone bankrupt and there's no football again. You know, these people that are making these decisions at the top of the tree at football are not making them just willy-nilly. They're making them based on logic, based on advice from specialists and people in the know. And they're taking advice from the government as well. You know, I see that I think every game is going to have around 300 to 500 people at it that are staff of each team, people like security, stewards, stuff like that. It's going to be around 300 to 500 people. That's not a massive amount of people. And as long as it's done properly, which I think it will be, which is why they're trying to put these measures back in place, I think it's right. I've seen other statements and comments coming out from other teams about neutral venues. Like, seriously, turn it in, right? Neutral venue. You got.
They said they're gonna discuss that the Premier League with these teams that seem to have a problem with that. But yeah, there has been a lot of teams moaning.
There's two ways you can look at it, though, right? Neutral venue, and then Brighton crying because theirs is potentially a neutral venue, but they can't play their home games there. You could go, okay, cool. They've got a point. But then on the flip side of that, it's not going to give them an advantage because there's going to be nobody in the ground. Yeah. Whereas you know what it's like. The fans give you a lift sometimes. And I can see both arguments to the neutral side of it. The thing I will say is the way government have come out with what Boris said yesterday, what he's again said tonight, they've looked at a solution. They're trying to make it go forward. They actually said tonight on the questions that he answered tonight, they might never find a vaccine for this. So what do? We all stay at home and go, well, sod it, that's it, done. Football's finished, that's it, this is our lives forever. Or do we look at a solution and try and take it forward? Yes, people are losing their lives and that's tragic. And yes, football is you know, not as important as people staying alive. I get that. But they're not going to bring football back unless it's safe to do so. There's always going to be people getting. I'll give an example. Right, swine flu was what 11 years ago. There's still people get that now. Yeah, there's still people get that now. Yeah, and you know what they could have said back then. Well, actually, no. What we do is we shut everything off and we stop everything. You can't just end the world, right? But at the same time, it has to be safe to do so. People have got different levels of safe. My safe might be different to your safe and everyone in the chat safe. But the Premier League, government, and all the people that are involved in that decision to bring football back on said day, they're not taking that just off of the case of, oh, well, it's all about the money, let's just get it back in. They're doing it on they're doing it for finance, of course, right? Because listen, all them football clubs can go bust real quick. And it just goes to show all of this that's happened in the last 2 months, how cash poor football clubs actually are. Yeah, we all think that Arsenal are minted, that they make massive amounts of money, and Man United and all the other clubs. Just goes to show how skint these football clubs are in actual cash money, right? You've got football clubs furloughing their staff. You've got all the staff. So say, for example, they didn't complete the season and then they started the next season in December, for example, or January. By then, there's going to be massive football clubs have gone out of business. So then all the people that worked for that football club that have gone out of business, was that essential that football came back for them? It probably was, wasn't it? Because it saved their job and their livelihood, which puts them into poverty, and it's a knock-on effect. So when they make all of these decisions, they're never going to please everyone. They're not going to please the Brightons, the West Hams, and the teams right down the bottom because they want it shut off because they stay in the Premier League. Yeah, a big team that's down the bottom. Let's say Aston Villa, for example. Aston Villa are not the richest football club in the world in terms of income. If they get relegated after having this happen for 2 months, they're pretty done. Yeah, they're going to be teetering on bankruptcy. Yeah, and so are other clubs in that bottom three. I can't remember who's in the bottom three. It's been so long. Norwich is one.
Norwich.
But let's say Norwich. Norwich have not got the biggest revenue streams. They then get relegated after 2-3 months of no football, no income coming in at all. They then get relegated. It's going to hurt them for 10 years. Yeah, so I get why some people don't want it to come back, and I get why some teams are opposing relegation and opposing bringing it back so soon and stuff like that. But in the grand scheme of things, they're not just going to throw that out there and say we're bringing it back just because we can. They're going to do it for more than one reason, which is the money side of it. That is a big part of it, by the way. But they're going to do it for the fact that this is people's livelihoods and jobs. You know, I've seen players come out. I think Rudiger and Aguero said they're scared to play football. Granted, I understand that. I totally get that. There's a lot of people that are scared right now, right? But at the end of the day, you know, what do? Do we just go, okay, cool, we'll stop until there's 0 cases in this country? Well, that might be 15 years.
It can happen. I mean,
15 years.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you know, me and DT had a big tear up over this last week on the All Guns Blazing podcast. We're doing another one tomorrow, and I'm sure he'll be back on my case again. But listen, as I've said all along, right? If you can get it started safely, why not? And I don't think it's like I agree with what you're saying there, right? I mean, people will say football clubs are being greedy. This isn't just a case of greed here. There could be no. It's all right. Take Arsenal and even we're struggling, but take some of those really huge clubs out of it. There'd be a lot of clubs go out of business. Done. And the first person, I think I said this on the show last night or the night before, the first people who are going to suffer is not your Stan Kroenkes or the Glazers or, you know, the owners of Man City, your Sheikh Mansours and people like that. They'll be all right still. The first people to lose their job are going to be the people who work in the club shop, the groundsman, the this, the that. Those guys will be the first ones out and unemployed. So football is just like all the other businesses. You know what I mean? The government said yesterday they want to see people in the construction industry return to work, right? As you know, don't take public transport. I mean, it was pretty vague, some of the stuff they were saying, but they're trying in stages to get people back to work. And football, you know, they're saying work at home unless you can't. A footballer can't work at home, can he? No. He has to go to a ground to play it. So behind closed doors is not ideal, but I think, you know, get the season completed. It will still be shown on TV. The TV money will be paid. Some of the sponsors will be able to get things going again. Some of the betting companies and all these big companies that sink a lot of money into football, whether you think they're being greedy or whatever, they're helping this game survive. They'll be able to, you know, do their thing again. And we start to slowly come back. And like you said, we don't know when a cure might come in. We're going to have to learn. And it's unfortunate, and it's never nice to discuss these things when people are dying. But we're going to have to learn to live at the moment with this disease, because even if they do find a cure, it's worldwide, this thing. It needs to be rolled out to the whole world, not just, you know, there's countries out there where we've got limited cases at the moment, but they're still feeling the effects of the rest of the world because, you know, the rest of the world are hard hit.
See, this is the thing, right? Atletico Madrid. I was talking about Thomas Partey the other day, and I read an article that said that Real Madrid, they didn't call it furlough in Spain. They called it something else, EBRP or something, or SEPR in the letters. And I read this article, right? And it basically said that when a football club furloughs their staff in Spain, I don't know if this is 100% true. I'm just saying what I read. That when they do a transfer in or out, the government in Spain then have access to being part of that deal. Yeah, because you're putting us on 70%. You're making us pay 70% of your staff's wages for, I think it was 6 months. On the 7th month, it goes down to 30% they pay. But a transfer deal that a Spanish club does, they then get access to have a look at the ins and outs of that deal because we've been paying your staff. So when it came to Thomas Partey, it was a case of, well, hang on a minute, Atletico are heavily in debt anyway. They furloughed their staff. So they don't want to do a swap, is what I read. they actually need the cash. Yeah, so they don't want Lacazette.
Oh, listen,
they want to get the cash back in to get them out of the situation. But I mean, I don't know if that's 100% true. But one thing I'll say is football is a reflection of society and a reflection of the government restrictions right now. Yeah, the government have said, right, lockdown, shut up. Yeah, you ain't going nowhere. Right now, they're trying to ease everybody back. You're allowed to go and meet one person that's not your family member, as long as you're 2 meters apart. Blah blah blah. Yeah, some businesses are allowed to open again. Football's trying to do the same because the government know that if they keep it locked down for 6 months, this country's finished. Yeah, every business will be shut. Yeah, within 6 months, 12 months, 18, whatever it may be. Some will go quicker than others. It's the same with football. Yeah, and the way they've said, right, you can now go out, you can now go and meet somebody else. Football are trying to work with the government to try and get that back. I see somebody in the chat a minute ago that said it's not essential that football comes back. No, it's not essential, but tell that to all the people that would lose their job if a club goes bust in 6 months because they couldn't go back to work. And the clubs rely on the players to bring that revenue in by playing the matches. So technically, it's not essential, but it kind of is at the same time.
Well, it's a business. It is a business, whether we like it or not. There's people who have been employed by it. It's a business. Let's do some of those because the comments are flying in. Let's go for a few of them. Brook 22 said bottom 6 clubs fighting relegation. One, it stopped because they get all that Prem money again next season, and that's it. You've got a lot of clubs looking after their own interests at the moment. This is what we're seeing a lot of instead of trying to look after the whole thing in general. ZW says, I don't think people are taking into account the travel for the fans with neutral venues, i.e. Newcastle travelling to the south for every game. Lack of travelling could be an advantage to teams. Well, I'm not sure where the neutral venues are all going to be. They haven't decided on it yet. And I think if you travel to somewhere and then you be, from what I'm understanding, you'd be at a hotel, wouldn't you? And you'd stay there for a while, sort of, so.
Well, Robbie, do you remember before it was the semi-finals of the cup games were played at Wembley and then the final was at Wembley? It used to be Villa Park or Old Trafford or somewhere, didn't it?
Yeah.
They're obviously going to look at trying to do something where Newcastle don't have to go all the way down to Brighton. They're going to try and regionalise it. They're trying to
regionalise it, yeah. Onionhead says, if fans ain't allowed inside stadiums, what's to stop thousands of people gathering outside the ground?
Well, that's where common sense comes in.
That's where common sense comes in. That's where big fines come in. I mean, I think fans. I think the one where people are looking at and thinking, well, that could happen, would be if Liverpool won the title. They haven't won it for over 30 years. You're gonna have some people. They're gonna be like, "Oh, listen, man, I got to be there. I got to be there." But apart from that, I just feel fans will practice common sense there. And I think there'll be, I think there'd be a few people do that.
Yeah.
But I just don't see that being a major.
Try and test the boundaries on anything, right? I'm drinking a bottle of Stella tonight, yeah. Right? The units on this bottle of Stella are 1.4 units. The daily guidelines are what? Yeah. It's the same with smoking. You shouldn't really smoke. People smoke. People will always try and test something and push something. You've been out and got plastered on drink before and drunk more than the daily average. Yeah, everyone has, right?
People push the boundaries, but we've got to say that on this so far, on the whole, 95% of this country have stuck to the rules. And I think if it comes down to it, I think football fans will, they're going to understand this. You get a few diehard guys that have got to be there, but on the whole, I think that they will observe this, This guy says, Aguero is scared to play football. What about the health workers on the front line? Aren't they scared? The other thing is as well is that there's a lot of people that are going to have to return back to work. That, I'm sure they're feeling scared, like some of those, what about the people in Asda and Sainsbury's and all these shops?
The Tube in London, for the last few weeks, I know they highlighted it more today because of Boris's statement yesterday, but the tubes in London have been pretty packed for weeks. You've probably got more chance of getting symptoms of it or catching it whilst being on a tube going to work than these players have got getting on a coach with their teammates, with the staff who work at the club, travelling to a neutral ground, staying in that hotel, being tested before the game or a week before the game or however they do it. You've probably got less chance of catching it whilst playing that football match than you have getting on a tube.
You see, this is the point now, right? And this is one of the points I was trying to make last week to DT, right?
I see that comment a minute ago.
That backlash that you think would go on players for playing will be reversed if everybody else is seemingly going back to work and they say, well, I ain't going to work because, you know, I'm scared. There'll be a backlash, as you just saw with that last guy who said, you know, why Aguero, what about all the health workers on that? So this gentleman says United have only lost 110 million pounds.
Balance, Robbie.
They've only lost 110 million pounds, 18% of their revenue. So 82% of their revenue remains intact if the season finishes behind closed doors. United's revenues is boosted by Orvo sponsorship. Now, we know United are the richest club in this country. However, you've seen even the Glazers and Ed Woodward and that come out and say, listen, we don't look for no big signings. Don't look for no Jadon Sanchos and things like that, because we're just not going to be able to do it. You know, the money ain't going to be there. This one here coming in from Jib, he said, did you hear about the 19-year-old Andrea Rinaldi who died today from an aneurysm? Condolences to his family and friends. Question for both of you. What if the players have family members with underlying health conditions and are scared of passing it to their family? First of all, on the first point, I did hear about that. That's really, really sad. A horrible thing to pass away. You know what? My niece passed away from the same thing, and it's a horrible, because you can be walking around with an aneurysm for years and you don't know. And you know, so yeah, obviously our heart goes out to him, and that must be really, really sad. On the second point, that's a good point that he makes. You know, what if a player doesn't want to bring it home to a family member and they might have an underlying condition? But what I'd say to that is, a player can say he doesn't want to play. I think if a player turns around and says, you know what, I think I don't want to play because I could bring this back to my family, I don't think that's going to be any different to if a worker said, I don't feel like I can come in because I've got a vulnerable family. You know what I mean? You're going to have to work with that. You're going to have to say, well, you know what, you've got a valid reason. You don't have to play. Whether that
exact question tonight. Yeah, he was asked that exact question. What if Boris Johnson was asked that question tonight? What if it was firstly what jobs, what professions can go back? Yeah, because they haven't given an exact guideline on a dentist, a barber, etc., right? But he was asked that as well, and because somebody put a question in saying, I've been furloughed by my company, but my company are telling me I can come back now, but I can't get childcare, yeah, because the schools are shut. Yeah, they're telling me I have to come back, or they're taking me off furlough. Yeah, and that question was put to them, and they basically said, well, the company can do that, but if you can't get childcare through no fault of your own, they should take that into consideration. What you were just saying about a player saying, well, maybe I'll get it and I'll infect somebody else in my family. Firstly, I get that, right? But secondly, they're going to be tested apparently before every game anyway, right? If they have got it, they'll be self-isolating on their own, not in their house with their families. They shouldn't be meeting anybody outside of their family unless it's a match day scenario. And I've seen people in the chat saying it's not, I've said this 3 times since I've been on it, it's not a necessity or an essential job for them to go and do. If Arsenal went bust in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, because it wasn't safe to go back and Arsenal stopped playing games, the Premier League said, we're stopped, we're finished for 12 months until there's 0 cases in this country, and Arsenal went bust, you go and tell that to all the people that work for Arsenal Football Club, that it wasn't essential for their players to go back to work, to keep that business going, to pay their wages.
And every other Premier League club. And I think where people just need to understand this, right? It's not just the players. You've got a whole organization around the club. You've got people who do security. You've got people who make food at the training ground. You've got, I mean, there's hundreds. Every football
office, you've got loads of stuff,
hundreds of people. And then in turn, there's lots of people who work as journalists. There's lots of people who work within TV, who work within the media industry. There's lots of people who work. It's a whole industry around football. And just like any other industry, if you just say no, we're not going to do it, you can do that. There'll be nothing left.
The easiest way to put it is government have relaxed the rules on people going back to work. If you can't work from home, like a dentist, like a doctor or something like that, and you can go to work, dentists can't do that because they can't social distance. I get that. Footballers, yes, it's different, but they still can't social distance whilst playing a football match. I get that. The fact is, right, the amount of people that are saying when it's safe to do so. Well, it's safe to let people go out now and go and meet somebody that's not in their immediate family circle in their house, right? So they're relaxing the laws. They found a solution, the rules and a solution. They're moving it forward, the government. Football are trying to do the same. These people, I said this at the very start of the show, these people that are trying to get football back on are not doing it to put people in danger. Yeah, they're doing it to complete a football season. Right now, we've seen Germany are coming back on Saturday. They're playing their games on Saturday. Dresden in Division 2, they're all self-isolating. So they've said, right, cool, we'll cancel your games, but we're going ahead. When does it stop? When do you go, right, well, that's the threshold now. There's not enough cases for it to be a problem anymore. Because surely one case is enough for it to be a problem. Just because there's only, like, say there's 3,000 today, for example, I see earlier. But if there was only 50 cases, what, is that cool to go back then? Yeah, where do you draw the line? Yeah, they're not doing it just to upset people, but they're always going to upset people.
And I think people have got to make it, people will be clear that we're not, and they're not saying that football starts now.
Exactly.
They're saying they've already made it quite clear that nothing can start until at least, remember, the 1st of June. And they've said all along, the government have said all along that, say the 1st of June comes and cases are starting to rise and that again, there'll be no football. Simple. There'll be no football. But if things are still starting keep dropping and things still, then it can be played safely behind closed doors. This is a government decision that is backed up by the health workers. They've got health workers on board with this that are advising them on this. So
exactly.
Why, if that's the advice, because they said that in that stage 2 as well, they'll be looking to open some restaurants. They'll be looking for kids.
Restaurants in Spain open today. Restaurants in Spain are open.
Yeah, that's Spain. I'm on about here, right? They'll be looking to open back some restaurants, open back slowly but surely. They'll be looking for some kids to go back to school. My daughter was moaning this evening because she would be in that category where she might have to go. So if all of those things are starting to happen, and they're saying that things are starting to calm down, the infection rate is going down, then why wouldn't football come back? You know what I mean? It's so.
This is my argument on the show, Robbie. Right? There's 2 reasons why people don't want to come back. The first one, so they can laugh at Liverpool. Yeah, that's the first. Let's be real. If people had balls, they'd come out and say yes because I want to laugh at Liverpool.
Well, this guy here, AJ, said, he goes, if Arsenal were in Liverpool's position, would you want to be awarded the title and get the banter that goes with it, or void?
Well, I'd want the season completed, but if we didn't complete it, I would listen. At the end of the day, if Liverpool, I said this right at the very start of the show, if Liverpool don't finish the season, they shouldn't get the title. It'll be harsh but tough. The only reason people don't want it finished is so they can all laugh and take the piss out of Liverpool, right? The other reason they don't want it finished is because they can't go to the game. Tough. Watch it on TV like 95% of the world do.
Okay.
It's true though, isn't
it? Jackson says, let's say players don't want to play as they don't feel safe. Think the clubs should respect that. Of course they should. But then, so hear me out on this. So to me, if players turn around and said they don't want to play, they should nobody should be forced to play if they don't want to play. But surely they can't get paid. Because if the government say, this is what would happen in any other job, right? If the government now say, right, we feel as long as it's under these conditions, you can return to work. And just like the example you just gave.
Yeah.
And those people turn around and say, well, you know what, actually, you're saying that, but I don't feel safe. So I'm not going back. Your employer would have every right to say, well, I respect your decision, but I'm going to have to get someone else in. Because, the business has got to go on. So what difference would it be for a footballer? So I'd say you'd have to respect the fact that they don't want to play, because you've got to take into consideration
but this is the
horrible circumstances. How could they get paid?
It all comes down to common sense, right? At the end of the day, this is multi-billion-pound businesses we're talking about. We're not talking about 50 quid business. We're talking multi-billion-pound businesses, right? They're not going to rush the decision. Government haven't rushed the decision. It took 2 months to come to relaxing it down to phase 4 or level 4, should I say, phase 1 or whatever. But same with football. At the end of the day, this is the thing, right? If you give people an inch, they take a mile, right? There will be people out there. A lot of the people that are moaning that they're not allowed out don't even go to work. Yeah, let's be real. It's true, right? There's a lot of people moaning, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. A lot of them sit on their backside at home anyway, right? But then you've got to look at it and say people take mile out of an inch. People are going to be sitting there going, sorry, now I don't feel safe coming to work. But everyone else in that business has gone back to work. So there's always going to be people that are going to test it. I understand if players don't want to play, cool. But I agree, they shouldn't be paid.
Mihir says, hi, Robbie. Remember, Arsenal still owe a net £120 million on player transfers. An estimate is that 40 million of that is due to be paid in the summer of 2020. And if there's no money to pay it, So Zaidi says, big clubs like Chelsea, City and United won't let their shopkeepers lose their jobs. It's clubs like Arsenal with greedy owners that will allow that. I think you're being a bit harsh here because, and I said something like this the other day and I was accused of being a cronky man. And
I get it all the time.
I'm not trying to be, I'm just trying to be realistic here. At Arsenal, right, as bad as these owners have been, I can't over-criticize them for this because all the directors, they've taken a pay cut for a year, 30%, in order to be able to pay the shopkeepers and all this. And you may say that about Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea, City, United, right? City are in a different position to most clubs because of their very, very, very rich owner. Same with Chelsea, who's sort of bankrupt. But even them, it's not sustainable for them. If this goes on for a long time, they will lay people off. These are business people.
How long will government, right? Why do you think government are relaxing the rules now? Because they know the amount of income into this country has just gone. It's done. It's bottomed out. They can't continue to keep that going because literally everything will stop and shut, right? It's the same with football. Yeah, football clubs, yes, like that guy says, greedy owner. The greedy owner rejected 60 million for Alexis Sanchez going to City with a year left to swap him for Mickey. Yeah, sometimes people just revert to type and scream and shout at the owner. At the end of the day, it's not like that. I've seen, Stan Kroenke's got like 230 or 330 million profit this year. That story was so misleading. It was unbelievable because there was only 3 weeks of that were actually whilst this has been happening. So when they said he's come out with a profit of 300 million pounds, well, of course he has. January, February, and March. Yeah, so, it's just so misleading. But
DT's jumped in. DT's here. I knew he'd jump in.
I see you. Yeah, we'll go round 3 if you want. Bring it on.
He said. I don't know if he's probably speaking about both of us. He said you should educate yourself before speaking. Employers physically cannot stop someone's wages by law. Listen, if there's no, this is how they do it.
They can because they're not paying them.
And also, this is how they can. They can just turn around and say, "Yo, I ain't getting no money. Business closed."
Yep.
I mean, people need to get real. A businessman could just turn around and say, "You know what? We've lost so much money. I'm very sorry, everybody who works here. I'm having to lay you all off." Well, you think they can't do that? Well, I don't know what you're talking about, DT, and we'll probably continue it on tomorrow's show. But what do you mean they can't by law? They can just shut down the business and that's it. You're out of a job. And do you know what? The billionaire and the millionaire, and they're still nice because they probably still got their money or they got fallback money. It's going to be the ordinary guy who's out on the road. And this is understanding this.
And this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Let me ask him a question, right? If Arsenal were 25 points clear, yeah, would you want football to come back? Simple question.
We would, wouldn't we? We'd be desperate for it to come back.
Because we want it to go in our favour. And this is the thing. It's not, everyone's not going to be happy. There's always going to be somebody that's not happy with this is going to come back. They're not just throwing football back. Robbie, today, right? France voided their season off 2 weeks ago, yeah? They voided their season off. Their social distancing has dropped so much now that they're only a metre apart from each other in France. They've literally cancelled their season. They jumped the gun too quick on their season.
But what I'd have to say there is that the reason why they did that is because the government. So again, all of these things are being driven by the governments of these countries. So the government in France said that there's going to be no sporting events until September. So that's why they just said, well, we can't complete the season. Whereas the government over here are saying something different. They're saying that if by the 1st of June, things are still on that downward curve when it comes to infections, then you know what? We will see that we might be able to get the season started, but only behind closed doors. I think it's quite sensible what they're proposing. And basically, and also they've got the big caveat in there that if this thing starts to rise again, if there's any problems and that, then we're not going to play. It doesn't get started and that's it.
We'll shut it down again. Which is right, which is what Boris has been saying. And this is what I said earlier. Football will be a reflection of what government are telling us, for us. Yeah. We're allowed to go out now for as long as we want, as long as we keep social distancing. We're allowed to go and meet one person that's not in our immediate household, as long as we social distance. Football's starting to relax and be a reflection of what the government are telling everyone else. And that's natural. They've got a plan.
Okay, Alex says, Robbie, I understand what you're saying, my friend, but it's a contact sport. How can players tackle and how can they take corners? Well, they're still going to have to make contact.
How like did they would have
been tested
the weekend? MMA weekends?
They're going to be tested, aren't they, to find out before the game whether they're carrying the COVID or not. So we would have hoped that if you've got 11 against 11 and they've all been tested and they're all free of the virus, that it shouldn't be transmitted. Prince says, when football comes back, the players will be tested regularly. Probably the safest job in the world. Construction workers, etc., are the ones at risk. That's a great point.
Mate, well, getting on the tube to go to your office in London to go and do whatever it is you do at your job is more risk than going and playing a football match behind closed doors with 300 people there that are part of the two teams that are playing. Yeah, you got more chance of catching it on the tube.
Khan says, Robbie, people just want the easy life because of the furlough. Stop the furlough, and then you would see them crying for life. No money, no love. That's a bit harsh. You sounded like Lee Gunner.
There's a lot of people out there. Listen.
But the thing is with the furlough, sorry to cut you there, Lee. The thing is with the furlough, it can't last forever.
Exactly.
And it has kind of put a lot of people in a bit of a bubble because we're at home, we're still getting paid, but that's going to run out soon. It's just not sustainable.
How long can the government keep paying 80% of people's wages?
Can't.
We're getting nothing back in return because all the businesses are shut. How long can that continue? There has to come a point where they say, right, we can't do this for another 2 months. We've got to relax this. Yeah. And we've got to start getting some money back into this country.
Well, let's move on to another subject because we can keep coming back to this. Keep your comments coming back into it. But also, one of the other things was today, Arsenal getting linked with Adrian Rabiot. Rabiot, of course, quite a controversial figure. When he was at PSG, he forced the move. He had his mum as his agent. forced the move to get out of PSG. They literally stopped playing him. They were really annoyed with him. He is a really, really top talent, really, really talented player. Went to Juventus, and basically he's hardly figured. Now, there's a lot of talk that possibly Arsenal, could get him. We've heard about that Arsenal, a lot of that. They'd probably be looking more at loan deals. Arsenal interested in him, possibly in bringing him to the Emirates on loan this season. I've seen him play in the flesh, a very good player. What do you think, Lee? Would you like to see Rabiot at the Emirates if it was possible, or is it too much of a risk? Does he carry too much baggage for you?
Just one more thing I want to real quickly say about about bringing football back, mate. Arsenal when they play, pretty much a social distancing anyway, isn't they? Let's be real. They're supposed to be marking, right? So, is it really that deep? As for Rabiot, I don't want him. I was shocked, right? When I looked earlier, I was shocked he's 25. I thought he was older than that. I thought he was like late 20s, 28, 29.
I thought he was a bit younger than that, actually.
He sacked his mum as his agent. That kind of sums up that guy, mate. Like,
his mum, though, his mum was like causing him lots of problems at PSG.
Yeah, but I think he's the problem. Like, the stories I've read about him, it's just like, nah. Like, listen, Juventus are very smart in what they do. They go and get a player on a free, and then they go and get rid of him a year later for money. They're going to do the same with Ramsey this summer. They'll bin him off after getting him for nothing. And the money they've paid out for that whole year for the sign-on fee for the wages for each player, they're making more than that back by selling them. So it's a good turnover of money to keep paying Ronaldo. Do you know what I mean? But as for him as a player, nah. I don't see as he's much better than Granit Xhaka. He's way too slow. Yeah, this season, I think he's played or took part in 24 games. He ain't got a goal. No assists, no goals. Why are we looking at that?
He's a good player, though. I've seen him play. And I've seen him play, Lee. I was very impressed with him that time. It was a pre-season, but I was impressed with him. I've seen him play as well for PSG, and again, he's physically strong in that area. Skillful, gets around the pitch. He's a good player. I like him. I mean, Robbie, you don't think he could improve the midfield?
There's a reason Juventus want him gone. After just signing him.
But then, but you already sort of gave the reason. Juventus have got a surplus of midfielders. They only bought him, like you said, as an investment, right?
They got him on a free. They're going to
got him on a free transfer. They thought, it's what Juventus do very well. They did the same with Ramsey, like you said, right? And if they want to sell him on, they sell him on, right? And then make big money on it, right? But if he had have been sold by PSG, it'd have been a lot of money. He's a good player.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's crap. Yeah, but there's nothing that I look at him and think, you'll take us up levels in midfield. Robbie, we don't score goals as it is from our midfield. Yeah, I think our top goal scorer in midfield this season's on 1 goal, maybe 2 goals. Ozil, I think Ozil's on 2 goals, isn't he? Yeah, I think he's our top central midfield goal scorer.
I think it's 1, isn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, no, he got 1 against Norwich. No, he didn't against Norwich. Yeah, maybe it is 1. There you go. Maybe that sums up where we are. This guy don't score goals. Yeah.
All right, let's get a few comments. A lot of people are having a lot to say on this. This guy says Rabiot laughing emojis, so he don't fancy him. George Chapman says Rabiot is class under Arteta. We might get a tune out of him. Arteta might be able to get the best out of him. Omar says his attitude stinks as well.
Exactly.
Arias says Rabiot can cause drama like how Pogba does in many. But then remember, before Aubameyang came, that's what everyone was saying. He's going to come and cause loads of drama and stuff like that.
Aubameyang was ruthless in front of goal, so you can accommodate that. And since he's been here, he's been flawless, mate, in terms of goal scoring. Frederick
says, I'd rather take Ramsey back from Juve and bringing in Rabiot.
No.
Then I got a question for you here. This is coming from Zahid Khan. Why do you hate Ozil?
I see that now.
On the subject,
I don't. This is where people get it twisted. Right?
Hold on. On the subject of Ozil, you would have seen the reports today that
that's the biggest smile of the day. I can't lie.
Yeah, his agent basically saying that they were asking him about the Fenerbahce links. His agent basically saying that, a possibility, Ozil's got 1 year left on his deal. Then who knows after that? So basically, his agent is saying that there's not going to be any renewal and that. And after his contract finishes at the end of next season, he will be going. Basically, he was really more or less saying that, wasn't he?
Yeah, but basically, just to answer that guy's question.
Why do you hate Ozil? What's he done to you?
He's conned the whole fan base, or a big part of a fan base, into thinking he's decent. Yeah.
He is decent.
Really? What, 1 goal? And we don't even know.
Come on now, you've been here. You're just going off for this season, the 1 goal.
Okay. So
and remember, he's had a lot of problems with, Emery weren't playing him and stuff like that. So
tough. Aubameyang's played left wing all season. Look how many goals he scored.
No, but I'm saying that Emery weren't playing him. Do
you know what? I've said this, and I'll stand by this, right? Unai Emery's biggest cock-up was putting him back in the team, because that ultimately cost him his job. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, because if he stuck to his guns, he sussed him out. Robbie. He sussed him out on day 1 of the season. Man City at home, yeah? We played Man City, we lost. He called out Ozil and said he needs to work harder. We went to Stamford Bridge. It was the worst performance the guy's ever played in an Arsenal shirt, and he hooked him, yeah? Then at West Ham, there was the hoo-ha. He weren't in the squad. He stormed out of the training ground, etc., etc. He was going to bin him. Granit Xhaka then threw the armband away. Unai Emery needed to do something to get the fans back on side. Oh, let's just put Ozil back in. That finished him as a manager at Arsenal. The way he walked off the pitch at Baku was a disgrace. The amount of money he's been given, and people could say, oh, but it's not his fault, he's been given it. What, you're telling me he weren't telling his agent to go in there and demand money? Come on.
No, wouldn't you?
Yeah, come on, of course I would.
Well, you could never go in for. Jesus Christ! You're blaming him for asking for money. What's wrong with that?
No, Robbie, from day number 1 when we signed him for 42.5 million to the last day of his current contract, he has cost us 153 million pounds. I'm sorry. I don't see it. I didn't see it. I sound like Wenger, brother.
I mean, he's not been poor the whole time he's been here.
He's had half a good season, and then everyone.
He's not been poor. Answer this: has he been poor the whole time he's been here?
He's had half a good season.
And I think, how can you blame him?
We're going to agree on Ozil.
No, how can you blame him? Wait a minute. Let's just rewind back a bit. So you're blaming him for our. What you said about Unai Emery. So you're saying that the biggest mistake he made was bringing Ozil back into the team.
I remember. Me and DT did the podcast. Do you remember that? Yeah, Ozil in or Ozil out. Yeah, do you remember that? And he sat on there and said, if we play Mesut Ozil from now to the end of the season, we get top 4. Yeah, did we get top 4?
Yeah, but the season hasn't finished yet.
No. The podcast, that was Emery's first season. Yeah, we did that that was about a year or so ago. Me and him did that podcast. Do you remember? Yeah.
Well, was Emery playing him in the right positions though?
Yeah, but Robbie,
Emery was playing it. Emery, to me, right. One of the tragedies of the thing with Ozil is that Ozil, I think you play him behind the strikers, and you say to him, right, create, and you've got to have a couple of holding midfielders or a good one.
No, Robbie, I'm sorry, mate. I cannot sit there and hear that, right? Kevin De Bruyne at Wolfsburg took them to second in the table. That team were dead apart from Kevin De Bruyne, yeah? He took them to second in the league, yeah? Wolfsburg, yeah? Are you telling me Wolfsburg are better than Arsenal? Because I'll tell you what, that team with Kevin De Bruyne in were not all that, yeah? You put that team up against Arsenal with Kevin De Bruyne playing for Wolfsburg, they'd batter us, yeah? Because of Kevin De Bruyne, right? Mesut Ozil for me, right? People can go on about, oh, he's played out of position. Oh, he needs a strike. He needs pace in front of him. He needs the defensive midfield.
Listen, you need certain players. You've got to play them right. You've got to listen. Okay, Ozil is not going to get back and tackles. He's not that type of player. You've got to compensate for that.
For that reason, he surplus to requirements. Because I'll tell you something now, yeah. Kevin De Bruyne's the best midfielder on the planet. Yeah, that geezer's work rate pisses all over his. And he is the best midfielder on the planet.
Yeah, but you've got different. Of course, he's not on the same level as De Bruyne, right? But what I'm saying
is he on the same level as Jack Grealish, who plays for some dead football team? Yeah, at the bottom of the table, or near the bottom of the table. But Jack Grealish has stepped up.
At the moment, you're talking about a player that now 31 is in his decline, right? At the moment, Grealish is better than him, yeah, but in his prime, he wasn't. What I'm saying with Ozil, right? I've just feel that at the time he's been at Arsenal, for most of that time, we've never played him correctly. We've not. Yeah, I mean, you've got to play. No, it's not rubbishly. You've got to build teams properly, right? You've got to build teams properly. If you've got certain players fit certain systems, right?
He hasn't fitted.
Ozil's not a box-to-box midfielder. Ozil is not a midfielder who's going to put tackles in. Ozil is like a number 10. He can create. He can do wonderful. But you've got to have a bit of protection for him. We've never really done that. We played him wrong in a lot of years.
Robbie, are you telling me that Jack Grealish has got better protection in midfield than Mesut Ozil has at Arsenal?
No, I'm not saying that.
Well, there you go. Grealish has stood up this season in a crap team to be the
one season. I'm talking. Has Ozil's been like how he is this season every season since he's been at Arsenal? Come on,
Robbie. I'm honest. I'm honest. I'll say what I think. Yeah. Other than half a good season or 3/4 of a good season, when everyone goes, "Oh, but Giroud stopped scoring." Yeah. Well, why didn't he step up and start scoring then? Yeah, because I'll tell you what, Jack Grealish steps up and starts scoring. Maddison scores. Kevin De Bruyne scores. Fernandes has scored. Yeah, since he's been here. He's been here a month, and he's already scored.
You're just going off of this season. Season.
About 6 years ago, when he was good at Real Madrid or Wolfsburg, who cares? He's played for Arsenal, and since he's been at Arsenal, yeah, this is why I want him gone. Because this guy.
That guy asked, why does he hate Ozil? You've just found out, right? I want to get people's opinions on it. Just before I do that, we've got a couple of super chats here. Mr. Celtic 12 says, thoughts on Liverpool, Leeds and West Brom starting next season with points advantage as a way to move forward in football. # end of season. No, I don't. Liverpool will be like plus 25 points. They would have won the league before it even started. So no, we couldn't do that. Let's get to. I'm interested to find out what people's views on the Ozil.
Can I just read this one comment out real quick, please? Yeah, somebody said, Edgar has said, more than 1 million shirt sales at Arsenal with his name on the back. Multiply this. Adidas pay up front for the shirts. They pay Arsenal £300 million for the next 5 seasons at £60 million a season. Arsenal will make probably about 3% off of every shirt with Mesut Ozil's name on the back. But for the shirt itself, they make nothing because Adidas have paid them. Another myth blown out the water.
Jacob George says Ozil is the highest scoring German in the Prem.
Wow.
Newman says, sorry, Robbie, you have to do more in the Premier League than create. Ozil was never physically equipped to play in the Premier League. He won't press either. Too lazy. He doesn't suit what we're trying to do now, obviously. But I can't agree that over all the time he's been here, he's been as bad as what Lee's saying. Samuel says, Ozil is done out here. Come on, Robbie, get real. Mark Farrell says, no, Robbie, you're sounding like DT. No excuses for Ozil. He's rubbish. Fact. Name me 7 games in 7 years when he's been at Arsenal where he's made a difference against...
Great comment, mate. Great comment. Lou de Goretz. Oh, yeah, the Bulgarian farmers that he scored a hat-trick against and's lived off ever since.
Another one. Robbie Ozil has been shit for 4 years. Put him in Tottenham. Wow, man. You lot are really turning on him, man. Ozil is not a Chelsea fan. Oh. Mate. See, you got all your minions coming here, right?
I ain't got nothing.
Listen, he has this season. He's been very, very disappointing, without a doubt. I don't think you can say the whole time he's been here, and I do think we've played him wrong over the years.
Yeah, but Robbie, there's playing
You've
people.
Got to build a system for certain players.
No, Robbie, no, you don't. Yes, you do, but you don't at the same time. At the end of the day, the biggest name, the talismanic figure in their club when the chips are down, steps up and rises to the top of the chart. Jack Grealish, I don't particularly rate Jack Grealish that highly. He's a good player. I wouldn't want him at Arsenal, right? I know Arsenal fans love him. A lot of them do. A lot of other team fans love him. But for me, that guy is playing in a crap team.
But you're going off for one
season complete, and
it's very unfair.
No, you rise to the top.
Oh, so is Jack Grealish right? If Jack Grealish better than Pogba?
Jack Grealish is more consistent than Pogba.
No, it's Jack Grealish, based off of how you've been dropping it on Ozil.
Yeah, based on
Jack Grealish. Is Jack Grealish better than Pogba?
Pogba for me, and I've said this a million times before, right? Pogba for me, when he fancies it, is the best midfielder in the world.
No, we know all that. We know all that.
Fancy it?
No. We know. Hold on. Wait. We know all that. But based off of how you just made those comparisons for Grealish and Ozil, this season, right, how you're basing it, is Jack Grealish a better player than Pogba?
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's not a better player. He's having a better season than Pogba, but he's not a better player than Pogba, just like he's not a better player than Ozil. Ozil's having a...
Robbie, people tell me all the time that Ozil's the most technically gifted player that Arsenal have had. The geezer ain't got a right foot. Yeah, but technically gifted. Fabregas pisses all over him. Cazorla pisses all over him. Sanchez.
Messi ain't got a right foot, but I mean, he's technically gifted.
As if we're even putting him in that echelon of
player. No, based off of what you're saying, you're saying why people say he's technically gifted.
He's not technically gifted.
He's not got a right foot.
He has sold a whole fan base here for 7 years, mate, down the river. The geezer is the most overhyped footballer I've ever seen in my life.
Jack Taylor says this man's agenda against Ozil is boring, argues pathetic points, and makes them all fit his argument. Move on.
Yeah, one goal this season. Yeah, name me another number 10 in the Premier League that's got no defensive responsibility, doesn't have to press anyone, just puts out the little, we've got Ozil, and does his little M sign. Yeah, what a load of crap. The geezer's rubbish. 153 million quid. What was the point? Sorry, from start to finish, 153 million.
So you're just focusing. It's like what DT told you that time. You're focusing on the money.
Yeah, because the money plays a part, Robbie. The guy got a 300% pay rise off of the back of doing nothing for 3 seasons, and then everyone blames Giroud. The same Giroud, they sung his name when he was coming on for Chelsea at the Emirates. Yeah, come on.
Michael says, anyone remembers Ozil making a sliding tackle? He's not going to make a sliding tackle. You know that's not in his game.
Requirements then. If you ain't going to pull it in for us, get out.
No, you got to put it in. You got to put it in.
Put it in. Make a slide tackle every now and again. Robbie, when we played Man United this season and Pepe scored, and had Luke Shaw spinning round like a spinner, Mesut Ozil in that game proved that he can be physical. He proved that he's got pace, which is something we ain't seen for 7 years. He proved he can defend, and he proved he can put a shift in by running the most of any player in that game. So why is it an individual performance once a season and not a consistent level of performance every week? It's mentality. He's made it in life. He couldn't care less. He's got an army of supporting fans that, by the way, is double the amount on social media than Arsenal Football Club. Yeah, watch when he leaves, how many millions of fans unfollow Arsenal Twitter, because it happened at Madrid.
So
Robbie, and it happened again when he leaves. And do you know what? See you all later. Yeah, the quicker he's gone, that for me, that's a bigger day than when Wenger left, because at least Wenger was good. In fact, Wenger was great. Yeah, for 8 years, 9 years. Yeah, this geezer has done fuck all for me. Yeah, apart from Liverpool. And do you know what? It's no coincidence, right? That his stats in that season where Giroud kept missing all the sitters and that. Yeah, it's no coincidence that you take the geezer off of set pieces and he don't get an assist anymore. That season when he nearly broke the record, how many set pieces was that? Oh yeah, pretty much all of them. Take him off set pieces, he don't do nothing.
You got a problem with Ozil, man. Chad says Ozil as Laka, Pepe, and Aubameyang. Not a bad cost.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. He has been having a poor season. Listen, I'm not backing him this season. He's been poor. And it is right for him to go when the contract is up, because you are right. The hunger doesn't seem to be there no more. But to say that he's been poor the whole time he's been here, that's no.
What would you rate him out of 10?
No.
Robbie.
In the time he's been here?
Yeah.
I think I was asked this the other day. I think I said
Can you remember what you said?
I couldn't work out. I couldn't work out. I think I said a 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I said 6 was because for a player of his talent, he should have done more. So that's why I said a 6. But let's do a few more comments. Jamie says, Robbie, you can't deny that we thought we were getting from Madrid. He's been a massive disappointment. He has.
Yep.
He's been disappointing. He should have been the talisman player. I'm not going to deny that. But I think Lee's being over harsh, though. Over harsh.
Nah. Robbie, for the amount of
Robbie Ozil fanboy. Anybody who knows me knows, right, that I try to be fair on Ozil. He has been disappointing. It's no doubt about it. I've said this a million times. He's been disappointing, but I think the way in which you're ripping him.
Yeah, but Robbie,
you're going in too hard, man.
For the amount of money that we initially
money again. That's what DT told you. Money.
Okay, when people talk in
get off the money, man.
Okay. So when we look at Pogba for 90 million quid, yeah, do you bring up, but it costs 90 million pounds? Of course we do, because that's what football fans do. We laugh at other teams that are people laugh at us for spending 72 on Pepe, right? When you look at the initial investment of 42.5 million pounds, yeah, I was as buzzing as anyone when we signed him, because I did actually rate him at Madrid, right? Believe it or not, right? But then we signed him, and I was just like, do you know what? We've all been sold one here, mate. Yeah, because he ain't all that. But what he has got is a great PR team. He's got a fantastic level of awareness of.
You seem jealous. You're jealous of his fans.
No. Do you know what?
Jealous of his fans.
Wait till they all leave with him.
Take all his social media following with it. That's come on, man.
Wait, Madrid, go and have a look how many fans Real Madrid Twitter account lost the day he signed for Arsenal. Millions.
That just goes to show you, though, that he brings even more than what he just
to show you they're not proper football fans of that particular club. They're Mesut Ozil fans, which is why I want him gone.
MCFC says the truth is number 10s are dying in today's game. Yeah. This is a great point. Are dying in today's games because of their lack of versatility. Out of the current top number 10s, Ozil is out of date and hasn't adapted to the modern game. I think that's a great point. Yeah. I think that is. And as I said, that's why when I'm saying, when you've got a player like Ozil in the team who's not really a guy that's going to press, he's not that type of player. You've got to compensate for that.
You don't. You get players in there who run around and press and tackle and score goals. Kai Havertz is a number 10. The guy who scores goals and creates.
He's a new number 10. He's just come. He's a new number 10. You know? Deji said Ozil's got more assists at Arsenal than Zidane at Madrid.
What's the point? What's the point?
And was a
at Arsenal than Dennis Bergkamp. Are you trying to say Bergkamp's worse than Giroud? Come on, man. Seriously. He's one of my subscribers as well on my channel. I'm going to have you up, Ralph. Trust me.
P says Robbie Fabregas was better than Ozil. Yeah. He dictated games on his own, scored and assisted during his time. Since when did Ozil dictate the games in 7 matches? Exactly. Ozil's dictated a lot of games. Come on, man. Not this season, but over the years.
Name them.
Dictated many a game. I can't name them right now, but yes.
Yeah, but that's the point, Robbie. You can name when Dennis Bergkamp dictated games. You can name when Robin van Persie dictated games. Fabregas dictated games. For this guy, it's always an excuse. It's always
Sam Edwards says, name one bad game Ozil has had this season. I can't.
Name one bad game?
That's what you said.
I can only name one good game. That was Man United at home. Jesus Christ. One bad game. Mate, Mr.
Rotten says Arsenal destroyed Ozil. We cannot blame him.
No, we've got the most expensive front four in the Premier League, and you're telling me about destroyed. Come on, man. Seriously. Neil
Gunnar says, is there any relation to you? He says, we never built a team around Ozil. We give him Sanchez, and we've seen the best. Who else had quality? Ramsey. That's true. When Sanchez was there, when we were playing to his strengths, he looked brilliant that season.
Yeah, but mate, hang on. We've got Giroud, the same Giroud that our fans at the Emirates when we played Chelsea sung his name when he come on, right? So that's one player. Hang on. And by the way, he's got given Giroud more assists than any other footballer in his history of playing football, by the way. Yeah, so we can all laugh at Giroud. Giroud scored more goals off of Mesut Ozil assist than Ronaldo. Fact. Yeah, fact.
Right? Yeah, but he was giving him the assist, wasn't he?
Yeah, because he was on set pieces. Take him off set pieces and put Xhaka on him. Guess what? Giroud still scores.
All right. Alex King says, stop. He's talking to you, Lee. Says, stop talking about money, about the defense, and stop hating, Lee. Aminda says,
hang on, is he asking Stan Kroenke to dip into his wallet this summer? I'm talking about money. Come on,
he's telling you to stop hating, right? Aminda says, FA told clubs null and void is off the table. If the season is not completed, then Liverpool get the title and the bottom three get relegated on sporting merit. Sources: The Times, Sky Sports, The Telegraph. I know they said null and void is off the table. I don't know that they've said these things about Liverpool being getting it, and I think that could happen. But the three being relegated, I don't know about that. I mean, they're still discussing all of these things, and they've got to discuss it. Sky, the Telegraph, and they're speculating with a lot of these things. Ozil sells the third highest number of shirts. He's brought in a lot of revenue too, Lee.
Robbie. Let me just go back and rewind, right, to what I said 10 minutes ago. When Adidas signed the deal with Arsenal, and before that it was Puma, and before that it was Nike, they paid the club up front, yeah, for the length of the term of the contract. Yeah, Arsenal will get the money up front. So any shirts sold will go back to Adidas or to Nike or to Puma. If you put Mesut Ozil's name...
Hold on, no, that's not strictly true.
No, they get about 3%.
That's not strictly true. What about all the shirts they sell in their own shop and things like that?
It goes back to Adidas, Robbie. It goes back to Adidas. If Arsenal sell a shirt with Mesut Ozil number 10 on the back, then they'll get the money for Mesut Ozil number 10 to write in, and they'll get about 3 to 5% of the value of the shirt. Yeah, so quid, they're getting £3.50.
That's a lot of 350s.
Yeah. Now tell me how many Alexis sold, or how many Kevin De Bruyne or Harry Kane. I see a chart actually. It's funny he's brought that up because I was only looking at it the other day. The top 10 shirt sales in Premier League. Zlatan's above Mesut Ozil, and Zlatan was here what, 2 seasons, 1 season?
All time though, all time sold.
Premier League. Zlatan
all time sales. You just basing it off of a small. Because you're very skillful at doing that, just basing things off a small, but yeah, you've got to measure it in the whole time. I'd rather see something like who sold the most shirts in the last 5 years.
That guy's picked the 7 seasons he's been at Arsenal. How many other players?
No, not the 7, not even the 7 seasons. Maybe if you said, right, who sold the most shirts in the last 5 years?
Yeah,
I'd rather see something like that to have a more accurate.
Oh yeah, exactly. I guarantee James Rodriguez will be up there.
All right, African Soldier says the position of number 10 has evolved, and Ozil's failed to change with that. I'll say his skills are set to become obsolete.
Yep.
So he always gets a mixed response, doesn't he, Ozil?
But this is the thing, Robbie. Does Kevin De Bruyne get a mixed response? Yeah, no, because people can see what he does every single.
He's having a great season. He got a mixed response when he was at Chelsea, didn't he? He's having a great season this year. DJ TV says, does Ozil play for AFC or Fortnite FC? And he says DT on now. DT will be on tomorrow on the podcast, and I'm sure he'll have a lot to say because he likes Ozil a lot. We know that he likes Ozil, but even he said, to be fair, that he feels it's time that he should go.
Get the banner out.
At the end of the season, at the end of
the hat trick against Ludogorets, it's time to say goodbye.
Alex says shirt sales doesn't mean titles.
Great comment.
Yeah. Neil says Ozil lost patience with the quality around him. How would you feel playing for a club that only sell their best players?
Okay, let me kill that.
Wouldn't you lose your drive? That's a good point.
Yeah, let me kill that right now. Firstly, our front four is the most expensive front four in the Premier League, including Mesut Ozil in that. Secondly, we have spent in the last 5 seasons gross, not net, because I know Mo likes net, but gross, yeah, gross. We have spent £27 million less than Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool. Take Sadio Mane out of Liverpool, our squads cost exactly the same. So when people say Pepe's world class. Aubameyang, Lacazette, Rob Holding is better than Cannavaro. Yeah, Granit Xhaka, give him the armband. Hector Bellerin. Everyone bigs our players up in our fan base to be the best players on the planet, but poor Mesut Ozil hasn't had the players around him. We've done more money than most teams in the Premier League in the last 5 years.
Jason says, are we on about shirt sales or the quality on the pitch? I want players that give everything on the pitch and not sell shirts.
My guy.
You got everybody going with this Ozil thing. Haven says, Ozil is not good enough for Arsenal. We're a big club who deserve players like Kevin De Bruyne. I like how Arteta is trying to bring this perspective to the club. AFTV, keeping the football spirit going. Thanks. Thanks a lot for that. But with Ozil, right? I know he's only got a year left after this year, but could we see the best brought out of him with Arteta?
No.
Why?
Because since Emery's been sacked, I think we've played 15 games. He's started 13 of them. How many has he been good in?
He's not been poor.
How many goals has he
scored under Arteta?
How many goals has he scored? How many assists has he got? Not good enough. See you later. Simple as that. You're a number 10.
I would have liked to have seen that.
You can't create the surplus to requirements.
I would have liked to have seen how he would have developed out. Well, we still might get a chance to see that, how he develops out from now till the end of the season. Chadwick says, German national team found out he was a fraud. Well, and again, how many years was he German Player of the Year?
Yeah, voted for by the fans. It's true. He's voted for by the fans and by journalists.
I'm not saying it in Jamaica, man. Bad mind.
You can't throw any Ozil stats at me.
Bad mind, man.
Yeah, I know. I could go on mastermind, yeah. And
how many years did he get German Player of the Year?
Answer me this then. How many times?
How many years did he get German Player of the Year?
5. Voted for by the fans.
Right. Yeah. When are you going to give a guy credit for anything?
When he starts turning up.
So in all those 5 years, he was rubbish. It was just he rounded up his social media people to vote for him.
Robbie, 3 of them, I think, were at Real Madrid. Yeah, and the first 2 or the last 3 or whatever were Arsenal, right?
You've got to give some credit to the guy, man.
Give credit to him when he shows up and puts in performances that are the
5 times German Player of the Year.
With his apparent talent and with all the excuses that get
Aaron.
Yeah, when he turns up and performs consistently, not just once every now and again, consistently over a period of 10 games, I'll sit there and I'll go, yep, I did it with Granit Xhaka, Robbie, yeah? Granit Xhaka, when he came back after throwing the armband, the first game onwards for 8 games straight, I didn't give him less than an 8 out of 10. He was quality, yeah? But he then slipped back in because he's got his feet under the table, Xhaka. Ozil plays 1 good game, everything's forgotten, yeah, about the last 6 months. No, not with me. See you later.
Johnny says, Robbie, you should have some American gooners on, such as AFC Jack and Mo Lester. Thank you for that. We're going to be putting a thing out there this week where we're going to be we're looking to get some fans on who haven't been on. So maybe I'll get them on with League.
No, I'll do an Ozil and go into hiding that day.
Greg Football TV says, Ozil poor for 18 months. Robbie, check out my video on Gerson. They should do a World Cup camps, keep the players, staff, etc., and finish the season. I'm going to do a few more because we're running out of time here on the show. This guy says, so we've ended up talking more about Ozil than Rabiot. That's because we've got Lee Gunner on the show.
You triggered me. You got to stop talking to me about Ozil. He triggers me. He winds me up, man. Proper winds me.
All right, here's a question for you. Who would you like to take the number 10 shirt when Ozil leaves?
Who would I like to take at number 10 when Ozil leaves?
Yeah.
That's a very good question. Maddison.
Maddison,
yeah. Maddison, or I'd love Kai Havertz. That ain't happening. We ain't got that Kai Havertz money. Yeah, the guy... Thiago Almeida, technically, is not essentially just a number 10. He can play off the left, but he is quality. That kid is absolutely class. But I'd take Okan Kochu at number 10 as well from Feyenoord. Mate, I'd put you at number 10, Robbie, and you would score more than 1 goal in the season.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You're. Alex again says, Robbie, have you noticed that Ozil's always been subbed off by Arteta? 60 to 65 minutes says it all. I just got the feeling Arteta, we're going to get a better Ozil out of him from now till the end of.
And this is why, Robbie, we're never gonna move forward. Yeah, this is.
He's got a year left. Listen, he's got a year. He's got a year left after this.
No, we're not giving everyone a clean slate. Yeah, I'm sorry.
A year left.
And these other players have not been good enough for 4, 5, 6 years. Yeah, what makes anybody think that with a rookie manager, he's suddenly going to get them to be Premier League winners?
Out of all the time he's been here, right? How many years of that has he been good?
Who?
Ozil. How many years? Hold on. Out of the 7 years he's been here, how many years would you say he's been good?
3/4 of a season in 2016. Other than that, no, I ain't seen it, mate. 3/4 of a season in 2016. Other than that, no. Mate, I watched your show the other day with Afsal, yeah? Afsal said half a season in 7 years.
He's like you, though. He's another one. He's another one of your mob. He's another one of the Ozil hating mob. Right? Somebody come on here and justify Ozil to Lee, right? Before we go.
I demand better, Robbie. Right? That's why. Yeah, that's why.
Jacob says after 10 years, people will look back on Ozil's career and say Arsenal killed him. This is what we have become as a club. Ozil is a symptom, not the problem. I think that's a good point. We never played to his strengths.
Robbie, what are his strengths? Tell me what his strengths are. He's
a very creative number 10. He's an exceptional, a player of exceptional quality, right? And if
what do you mean?
You have to, but he can't tackle, right? And he's not good at pressing. So you have to, if you're going to have a player like Ozil in your team, you have to have people to do. And this is nothing unusual. There's been many other players like this in the past where you've had to put players behind them to do the dirty work because that's just not.
You're reaching real bad here, mate. Yeah, you're reaching hard, bro. Man in the says it. Right, what does he create? What has he created in 2 seasons?
He hasn't created a lot.
What has he scored in the last 2 seasons?
His scoring has been terrible.
Okay,
I admit that. I'm being honest. Yeah, he has.
31 years old. Nearly 30, he's coming up 32, I think, or 31, 32, whatever it may be. He's done nothing, literally nothing for 2 seasons, but it's everyone else's fault, and we've got to give him one more chance. No, he's had 7 years. No.
Well, we're not giving him one more chance. He's going to go in it. Someone says Henderson doesn't score goals or provide assists, but he's considered player of the season. Ozil played pretty well over the last few games. He can do the same Henderson does. But he should leave. I don't think he's been since. I think since Arteta's come in, he ain't been bad.
Robbie, that last comment comparing him to Henderson, yeah, like big up yourself.
Henderson's a different. I get his. Henderson's
no, I understand what he's trying to say, yeah. But Henderson can tackle. Henderson can dribble. Henderson's got a left foot and a right foot. Henderson can score goals. Henderson can defend. Henderson is
left foot and right foot. You ain't got to have a left foot and a right foot.
But so
look at Salah. What's Salah's right? Salah, Messi. What their family?
Score 30 goals a season.
Yeah, I know. But why you keep going on about he's only got 1 foot? There's a lot of players that are very reliant upon 1 foot.
Yeah, Messi's the most left-footed player on the planet. Most.
Yeah. So what's this like? He's only got 1 foot.
Biggest honours on his own for his team. So does Salah.
And I'm not comparing him to those of what they've done, but I'm just comparing it with this 1 foot thing. Yeah. Sam Edwards says Ozil is easily one of the most talented players in the Premier League, but he should have done more. I wish we could have won the league with him. I think I agree with that. He should have done what he said. Is perfectly accurate. One of the most talented players in the Premier League. One of the most talented players in Europe. But he should have done more. Definitely. I agree with that. Should have done more, has not done enough. We're going to do a couple more, Lee. Have you managed to derail this onto Ozil?
You started it. Yeah.
I was just asking what the guy that asked, why do you hate Ozil so much?
You pinned the comment. If I hadn't seen it, I didn't see it. Then I wouldn't have spoken. But you trigger me every time.
Right. You know what? We're gonna get one more. Right. Mauro Icardi was talked about the other day. Do we want a player besides banging in the goals? Banging in.
You didn't read that first.
On Icardi, would you have him?
No.
Why?
No, I wouldn't. I'd take him. If it had. If Aubameyang, I'll say this right. If Aubameyang doesn't sign a contract by the middle of June, and then he's then going to go into the last year, and Icardi was a swap deal, I'll take him. But to go out and physically pay money for
the talk was a possibility. I mean,
it depends because listen, he can bang goals, but he's a drama, mate. Yeah, he is a drama. They're ultras out in Italy. They put a 65 long foot banner at him. Yeah, imagine the meltdown if we did that at the Emirates. Jesus Christ. Yeah, and
he had to apologise to them. That's why I was,
Yeah, mate,
some of these players over here get all hit up. I think they need to go through some of that.
Mate, do you know what I'm saying? But PSG, listen, he's a quality striker. There's no doubt in that. But he's not Aubameyang. But on the flip side of it, if Aubameyang don't sign within the next 5 weeks, he's into the last year of his contract. We cannot allow that. So if Icardi is the option to replace him as a swap, I'll take him. Other than that, I don't want him.
Okay, Lee, been very entertaining, mate. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. We've overrun, but listen, it's been a great show. Controversial as always.
You say that every time. I'm not controversial. You just trigger me. Yeah,
I didn't trigger. I never said nothing about is that guy. He just said, "Why do you hate Ozil so much?" But listen, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight. We'll get you back on again very soon. And tell him about your channel again before you go there.
Thanks for having me on, Robbie. Lee Gunner, come subscribe to that. You can trigger me about Ozil every day.
Thanks, Lee, and thanks to everybody for watching the show. We'll be back in the morning with the early edition.